So to do a final kind of review of the stocks from this morning on the watch list, OPGN is our leading gapper. This one is currently gapping up 57%. So OPGN, worth watching. Oops. Pre-market high is 12. It's dipped down a little bit. It's bouncing off this 990 level. Probably the setup I would look at would be a red to green move on it. Tops, TOPS, this is a shipping stock. It's been trending down. I'm not loving it right now. It needs to break out of that trend. A break over this level right here technically would be breaking the trend, but it's still below the VWAP, so I think I'm going to leave it alone. Any TE from yesterday is a continuation setup. Yesterday it broke 520, which was a daily level, and squeezed up to a high of 640. So I would generally be watching it over 640, but over this high pre-market of 625 is also worth keeping an eye on. So those are the ones I'm watching here. Pre-market, OPGN, tops, and NETE for the open. And then I'll be keeping a really close eye, of course, on the high day momentum scanner to see if something pops up that maybe is a little bit of a surprise that I wasn't expecting, and that gives us a nice opportunity. All right, so that's our game plan here with just about a minute to the bell. All right. So the open will be kind of interesting. OPGN is probably the one that I'm going to watch first, just because it's, I don't know, it seems a little more interesting to me than tops. I'm going to put my order at 1,500 shares just to be a little cautious. I'm not getting into it on this pop. I think the first pop will probably get faded. I'm really only interested, I think, in a red to green move. The high of that candle is 92. Let me turn that down just a little bit. CTXR we had as, you know, kind of a cheaper one. Wasn't really sure, but $1.50 is the spot that above that level I start to get a little more interested, as it maybe has potential to make a move up to, well, from $1.50 up towards 2. OPGN. I have a 10-second chart here on my e-signal just for the first couple minutes here. We know 990 is support level on OPGN, the bottom of this window. So that candle hit a high of 65. Now I'm going to switch to the 1 minute chart. High of this, looking for kind of this setup here. So the low of this candle was 10.04. This one's just broken it. My e-signal is a little lagged. Flip back to the 10-second chart. This is a bear flag here. Break through the low, bear flagging, and then breaking the downside of that flag down to 960. As I said, GVO, not one that I'm interested in. $862 is the level on tops. OPGN, a break over 1050. I would consider watching OPGN to see if it curls up, because we might get... I'm going to take a starter of OPGN here. So I jumped into that pretty aggressively at 1027, because what it did here was it rejected that drop and then surged up. So I'm going to switch back to the 10-second chart. That was a pretty fast trade. The high was 1143. And I put orders out. I sold at 1017 and 1117 and 1109, and now I'm going to have an order ready to buy back at 1135. I'm still holding 1,300 shares. I got partial fills on 3 of my orders to buy. I wanted to buy 9,000 shares, and I only filled 6,000. I'm already up $4,204 and holding 1,300 shares up over $1 per share. Now looking at a possible move up towards 12. I have an order that I'm going to put at 1155. Well, I'm hesitating on it just for a second because we're getting a little extended. We've got a top at 65, so I'm going to put the order at 65. So 1165 with 1,500 shares. I'm watching, just added there at 65. And now I'm looking for a move up to 12. So hands on the trigger here. I need to see pretty quick resolution. No, I'm not seeing the resolution I want, so I just stopped out at 36. I probably gave back about $1,000, but well, sometimes the thing is this is extended. I've got to be careful. I can always get back in, I guess, but the high is 1170 right now. So $4,741. I guess I gave back unrealized profit. So what made me interested was it bear flagged. It looked like it was going to fade and be done, and then all of a sudden it ripped back up right here. So that's where I was like, all right, now this is looking much different. So I'm going to switch back to the 1-minute chart. I see TOPS also did a red to green there. That would have been a good opportunity for a trade, but OPGN was the one that I was focusing on, and so that's the way it goes. The high is 70. There's 89. So I'm going to put a new order at 12. High is right now 89. The thing is, we really kind of bounced off this this level of 990 and then ripped up to 12 resistance. So now we might need to pull back off of that resistance level before it's ready for another trade. So yeah, I added at 59, 60, and 60, 4,500 shares, and then I stopped out at 1153 and 1136. So gave back $900 maybe on that trade. So if I have an order at 12, it's in my order entry window. So it's typed up at 12. I'll watch this pullback and kind of play it by ear a little bit and see how this holds this level. TOPS back at 780, so that rejected. It hit a high of 889 and then dropped back down. OPGN, first 1-minute candle to make a new high, did not result in a retest of high of day, so a little bit of a false breakout there on that, and then there's that flush back down to 1065. So now I just am going to sit tight for a second and wait. You know, if this comes all the way back down below 10, then I don't know. That's not going to look good to me, but at the same time, I thought it looked pretty bad here, and then it ripped back up. So it was unexpected. And I entered that with hotkeys, Shift 1, Shift 1, Shift 1, because I didn't have time to type an order. So not bad for the first 8 minutes, $4,700. You know, and now that puts me in a pretty strong place here. You know, 2 back-to-back solid days. OPGN is still green versus the open, which is good, but it's below the VWAP, so it's pulled back a little bit, and TOPS is red versus the open and selling off a bit more. So it broke this level, and on TOPS, I probably would have been a buyer around $8.50, anticipating the break of the $0.50, even though the high of day was $8.52 and the pivot was $8.62. My thinking there would have been that if it can break over the psychological resistance of the $0.50, there's a good chance it's going to rip pretty quickly, especially at the open, right up to $8.62. So I would want to anticipate it. And then, of course, over $8.62 would most likely get followed through because that's a pivot level, the first you know, kind of break here on this stair-stepping pattern down. But it needs to come back, retest, and hold that level. And so as soon as it broke back below the $0.50 of 50, I would have been out. So I wouldn't have held all the way back down here by any means. OPGN, at this point, may form a 5-minute setup. It would be premature for this to go straight up back to 12 at this point on a 5-minute. Not that we haven't seen premature breakouts before, but when we have a premature breakout, I can never take the same share size that I would take if it waits for a proper 5-minute breakout pattern. And you can see the range that we're dealing with here. This had a low of 1045 and a high of 1150. You know, so that's a sharp drop, a big bounce, but it's the beginning of maybe an ABCD pattern of sideways consolidation. So I can grab my trend line here, and I don't usually like to have trend lines that are this steep though. This is a pretty steep trend line. Oops, I'm having trouble snapping it in. Let's see, there we go. So sometimes you can kind of redraw these connecting to the bottom wick or the bottom of the body. The more places a candle touches, the more validity it has. The more places a candle touches a trend line, the more validity the trend line has. So right now what we're getting is a pullback underneath 1150. So I would say that 1150 is definitely a breakout spot. However, the first 5-minute candle to make a new high is not until 1189. So the 5-minute setup still has about 3 minutes left before it's before we're going to have first 5-minute candle to make a new high. And the challenge is during these 3 minutes, is it willing to just hold here? Since the low was 1045, this may break back below the VWAP, and we may have a longer period of consolidation, which really would be fine from the 5-minute perspective. So I'm just going to leave an order at 55 and keep it on watch. TOPS, by the way, is also bouncing back up, back to 840, but I don't see a strong setup there because it's still below the open of the day. Looks like maybe a hidden seller at 35 on OPGN. See how that breaks. So that's a premature breakout because the first 5-minute candle hasn't closed. So now we have a high here of 1170. Now, no doubt that's a trade that I could have taken, and I might have been able to make 10 cents per share, or still be holding it with a stop down here at 1106. But I kind of want to wait for what I think would be a 5-minute breakout. Now that might mean I miss a really good opportunity here, and we'll see what happens. So now the high is 1170. It's sort of just grinding higher. We've still got 90 seconds left on this current 5-minute candle. High of day is 89. So what I'll probably do is I'll put an order at 95 with small size. So I'll take a starter here at 79. And the reason I'm taking a starter here is because I think what we're going to get is just a rip through high of day. So I think it's going to break through. There we go. See how that happens? So we get that break through the highs. I put my orders out on the ask to sell half and take some profit. And now I'm up $6,722. Now, that was a little bit of a moment of truth because I got in and it dipped back down. However, this type of pattern, when I've got conviction in the pattern, I'm more likely to hold through that momentary pullback because I have, it's educated intuition that this type of pattern is going to work. So I'm still holding 728 shares with a 77 average. And I sold half there at 1201. So now I'm holding 364. We've got the high of 1237. So now we had the pullback. We kind of retested the breakout spot. This could be the 1-minute pullback underneath the fresh breakout. We've now broken over that critical level of 12. The way we got that quick snap where suddenly it surged up to 1237, oftentimes I would look at that as probably being short sellers covering their position. I'm not sure where I would feel comfortable getting back in now. I think I'm going to put my order at 1,000 shares at 1240 and watch this 1-minute pullback for the first 1-minute candle to make a new high. Of course, I'm almost break even on the bid. The high of this current candle, the high of the last candle is 26. The high of the current candle as of right now is 17 with about 20 seconds left. So I'm kind of looking at the clock. I'm looking at the level 2. I'm thinking now maybe over 1225. First 1-minute candle to make a new high. So confirming, yep, the high is 17. So 17 is potentially an entry. So I could put my order at 1220. But then see that drop. So I'm still holding 364 shares. It's not really a big deal. But, just drop down 30 cents a share. So now I've got to see, is it going to bounce back up? Do I sell on the ask? Do I just hit the bid? Do I give it a second? Right now I'm just giving it a second. I'll probably stop below the low of the pullback, which is 24, which would give back about $150. So you're seeing those 10,000 share buyers. It could be short sellers looking to cover on the bid. It's a more aggressive way to cover, but so I just stopped out at 1136 and gave back, I don't know, $100 or so on the 300 shares. But that's also a great example of if I don't take profit, then all of a sudden with 4,500 shares, I could go from being up $2,500 to down $2,500. And that's why I always take profit along the way. And I try to just be consistently green every day if I can. And that approach means I'm not going to hit as many home runs. I'm not going to hit as many out of the park home runs. But on the other hand, I'm going to basically trade the same as many of you guys would be trading with small accounts, which is you got to take the profit. Because I remember when I was getting started and I would see people take really big positions and not take profit, and I would just think, that's crazy. How can you not take profit? And then a trade that they might turn into a full dollar per share winner with 10,000 shares, $10,000 winner, I might have only made my 20 cents per share. So I really look for that instant gratification, that instant breakout to take trades at the place where I expect pretty much immediate resolution. So break of high of day, first red to green move, first 1 minute candle to make a new high. These are prices that you can dial in almost to the penny, the correct entry point. And that makes it very clear where I want to be a buyer, where I could anticipate the breakout, and where I should take profit. So $6,656 here in the first 20 minutes of trading. Not bad. And that's probably going to do it for me. I will stick around, but with OPGN rejecting now, and of course with the rejection on tops, I don't want to overstay my welcome. Now, sometimes what you might see, tops is kind of curling back up. Sometimes what you see is the momentum kind of shifts from one stock to another. So as this one's fading, now tops might come back into play as traders kind of have both the stocks up on watch anyways. So when they see this one starting to rip up, but I try to be a little careful about jumping from stock to stock unless we're seeing really incredible follow through, which I don't know that I would say we're having today. So good work for those of you guys that traded OPGN and made some money on it.